Hello, everybody, and welcome into another trade deadline episode here on the Hockey Writers YouTube channel. We've been doing reaction videos all day. I just did a couple. Jacob's been hard at work with them as well. If you've been following along on the YouTube channel, Jacob, how's it going?
I'm exhausted. I'm ready for bed. Gonna knock this out first.
For sure. We're just gonna do a quick winners, losers. Talk about a couple of maybe the most surprising, underrated trades of the day. It was a pretty busy day in the 2025 trade deadline. Leading up to it, we, of course, had a few trades we talked about. Mikko Rantanen was, of course, traded to the Carolina Hurricanes first, and he was traded again today. There's quite a few bigger trades, maybe some more blockbuster-ish that you could probably call that, haven't really happened in the last few trade deadlines. Although the Tomas Hertl one last year was probably considered that. But there was a few big ones today. So Jacob, we'll start with maybe the most surprising one that you saw throughout the day. Which one surprised you the most that came down?
There's a lot of options. I'm going to go with Brandon Carlo to the Leafs. I think the biggest surprise of that is that the Leafs and Bruins made a trade. That doesn't happen. Right. These eternal rivals don't make trades together. And when they do, it ends up being either Phil Kessel or Tuukka Rask. So it hasn't worked out very well. With the Leafs, that Phil Kessel trade, they ended up giving the Dougie Hamilton and Tyler Seguin picks over. So who knows how this one ends up. But yeah, no, I was just surprised to see it come through. I'm not surprised that Toronto was interested. The price of that was very surprising too. The fact that they gave up a first-round pick and Fraser Minton, it's a lot. But Brandon Carlo's pretty good. And yeah, just seeing those two teams make a deal in general was the biggest surprise. And I wasn't sure that they were going to move on because I think the Bruins expect to be good again next year. I think they're going to try and I don't think they're going to try and bottom out. I think they are going to try and rebuild a bit over the summer. Hopefully it goes a bit better than their attempt at that this past summer.
Sure. When they brought in so many, bigger names, Zadorov and Lindholm both. Zadorov's been okay. Lindholm has bombed. He hasn't done nearly what they thought he was going to do. Now they're trading Brandon Carlo. They trade, Brad Marchand. These two guys are they're guys that have been big parts of the team for many, many years. And are they retooling, rebuilding? I think I agree with you. I don't think they're going to be bottoming out and rebuilding. I think they're more of a retool, and try to get something in free agency. Who knows? Like you said, hopefully it does a bit better, with those moves. They may even make some few more trades. Who knows? But I think getting Fraser Minton is a big part of maybe bolstering that prospect pool, which isn't very strong. And he does fit with the Bruins kind of play right? They're physical, good forechecking, and Minton kind of checks those boxes. So I really like that trade for them, for their side. And then the Maple Leafs, it is surprising that it was the Bruins that they traded with, but adding a guy like Carlo, who has term on his contract still too, is not a rental. He's going to help out that. And their top four actually looks quite good now when you're looking at who they have. And, getting Ekman Larson free agency for what they get. And hopefully I was hoping that he would do this in Vancouver, what he's doing in Toronto, but that didn't happen. But we'll see how that top four does in the playoffs, which is the big question. And Carlo has a lot of experience there. So, I agree. I think that was a surprise. Mine is the Mikko Rantanen one. Just the fact that the Hurricanes couldn't get anything done with him. You make that big trade and you can't re-sign him, although they didn't let him go to free agency like they did with Jake Gensel. They were able to get something for him, and Logan Stankoven's a heck of a prize to get. And I love him. If you've watched Prospect Corner since he was drafted, how much I like Logan Stankoven. And I'm actually happy he's out of the Western Conference because you don't have to deal with him as much, only twice a year now. And he's he's just scratching the surface of his potential, and the Hurricanes got a really good player. I think will really fit into their system. I was surprised that Rantanen got traded again, and then of course signs that extension in Dallas, and he's going to be back in the Western Conference, back in the Central Division, going to be playing the Colorado Avalanche quite a few times.
I thought that was quite funny.
Yeah, so he's going to have to face the Avalanche are going to have to face him a lot more than they thought they would when they traded him to the Hurricanes. So yeah, that one's for me. Doesn't happen very often. A big star like that gets traded twice in one season, let alone within the last month. All right. So we'll see how that all plays out in Dallas for him. All right, let's switch to the most underrated trade of the day. And there's always these that maybe not hit the radar as been a massive trade, but end up being one that, look back on after the playoffs, like, well, that was a really strategic one. Maybe a lower end guy, something that kind of just flew under the radar. Is there any one of these trades, maybe not today, but even just in the last few weeks, that you can kind of point to as being underrated?
Yeah, I'm going to go with one of the ones that the Ottawa Senators did, and that's bringing in Fabian Zetterlund. I think that is a brilliant trade. Obviously, if you want the full breakdown of my thoughts on it, that video is up on the YouTube channel right now. But Zetterlund brings in some really good even strength offense that Ottawa desperately needs, and to give up Zach Ostapchuk in a second-round pick, sure. Ostapchuk is going to top out as a fourth-line center. He's not going to be much more than that. Sure, you need a good fourth-line center. You can find them. So I'm not too worried about giving up a prospect with that kind of ceiling. And then the second-round pick, if they didn't get a second-round pick from Buffalo earlier in the day, maybe I would mind it a bit more. But if you already got one back, no worries sending that over to San Jose. But I think that Zetterlund is going to be a huge game changer for the Senators. And I think that he can fit in the top six and really make some impacts there.
Yeah, that was a bit of a under the radar one. And Zetterlund was really good for San Jose last season, probably one of their best players. And, I thought he was going to be maybe a long-term piece there. But, and the Senators, they got a pretty good player for not really a lot. I mean, Ostapchuk, you said, I really like him as a player. I mean, watched him in Vancouver here with the Giants before he was drafted, and one of their top players. And I think he won't really, his ceiling, I think, is more of a middle six guy, but giving up him and then second rounder. But I think Zetterlund will fit with the Senators, like you said, and they're gearing up for a playoff run, hopefully. And I think he's going to really add to their depth moving forward too. So really like that trade too. For me, mine is, Luke Schenn going to the Winnipeg Jets. I mean, Schenn is one of those guys, and of course, being in Vancouver here, I know him quite well. He is one of I really wanted him to stay and when they traded him to the Maple Leafs, I wanted him to re-sign him in the offseason because really fit with Quinn Hughes, was one of their best defensive defensemen, still one of the better defensive defensemen in the NHL. Physicality, he brings that. And then Jets adding Brandon Tanev as well. I mean, those two guys are really playoff type guys that I think will really add to the team. And, Luke Schenn moving from going to Pittsburgh, and I thought he was going to get traded again anyway, because Pittsburgh, what do they need him for? They're not making the playoffs. So they flip him to a team that is going to be one of their, I think, one of the more underrated additions in the playoffs, because he's just a playoff guy. And I don't know who he's going to pair with or anything, but I think he could really pair well with Morrissey, because he's a similar guy to where Quinn Hughes, where he really thrived with him. So, yeah, I think a really smaller trade, but Luke Schenn really adds still a lot of value in the league, and really will add, I think, to the Jets moving forward here.
Yeah, I think you're 100% right about him fitting well with Morrissey. The thing about that is they already have Dylan DeMello, who is just another Luke Schenn that already has the chemistry with Morrissey. So
that's very true.
Yeah, you got that right, but
you probably won't.
No,
I think
Schenn will fit in really well with anybody. I'm just trying to think their left side. Dylan Sandberg is there. I don't know if that knocks Logan Stanley out of the lineup, because obviously Schenn is a right-handed guy. So I think Logan Stanley is still on the third pair. If you stick Luke Shen with Logan Stanley and hopefully try and kind of get some concrete defense out of that pair, that would be nice. Because right now it's kind of a rotation of Colin Miller and a few other guys that have been on that third pair with Logan Stanley, and it's just not working. And it hasn't been working. And Kevin Cheveldayoff just loves that Logan Stanley is as tall as a tree.
Yeah, so some coaches just love height and then just keep playing guys just because of that. That harkens back to one Aaron Rome in Vancouver. He was always in the lineup because he was big. Who cares?
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think he was that big, but he was a bigger guy. All right, let's move to the big part of the show, and that is the winners and losers of the 2025 trade deadline. Yes, you can call these guys loser winners. You won't really know until after the playoffs, when these guys kind of are the reason why they are being acquired by these teams, are to help playoff pushes or runs. So we'll start with the bad side. We'll start with the losers. Who do you see as a loser from this, either today or just leading up to the deadline? Maybe a team that should have maybe been active that wasn't, or a trade that you think, what the heck, this makes them worse, or they shouldn't have done it. Who's the overall loser? Maybe pick one or two if you have.
I'll save the Canucks for you. I assume you're going to get into that.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with the LA Kings. They're on track for another first round exit against the Oilers. Like, they didn't do anything to make themselves better. They were linked to quite a few guys. They were linked to Alex Tuck. They were linked to, I think, Brock Nelson a little bit. They were linked to a lot of players, and they brought in Andrei Kuzmenko. He's not going to save your season. He's not going to fix your scoring problems. He might help. He might chip in a little bit. I don't understand why LA couldn't get more done. Like, they have so many assets. They have so many prospects. They have so many picks. Like, they just had to make some change. And now I'm not saying that they should trade Quentin Byfield. That rumor was out there last week. Yeah. I'm not saying that they should get an upgrade on Philip Deneau or anything like that. Those guys are important parts of the team. But just, you got to get an upgrade on in your scoring. And I mean, Kuzmenko, I guess, is an upgrade on your scoring. He's not a significant one, and they needed a significant one. And then, that being said, if they could get a bit more out of Kevin Fiala, he's struggling a bit this season. Adrian Kempe he's playing well, but not as well as he has in the past. The problems can be fixed internally with LA, but it's the trade deadline. They didn't do anything. They're a loser.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. I mean, Kuzmenko also, the LA Kings pride themselves on good defense. Kuzmenko does not have that. That is the reason why he was shipped out of Vancouver. One of the things that he was shipped out of Calgary was too, because he was healthy scratch a lot of the time. When he's not scoring, he's pretty much a useless player. When he's scoring, great. I mean, that's what he does best. But when he's not, you can't play him on a fourth line. You can't play him in your bottom six. He doesn't add anything else when he's not producing. And that's also, I don't know the reason why the Flyers got rid of him so quick. He might not have fit with Tortorella. I mean, I don't know.
Shocker.
It's a shocker that he wouldn't. But yeah, and then moving now to the Kings, who also are priding themselves on defense. I wonder how long it's going to take before Jim Hiller goes and says healthy scratch for him too. But we'll see how that all plays with him, because he does have a lot of talent. I saw it firsthand in Vancouver here. Over 30 goals, 72 points, like flash in the pan. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to hit those numbers ever again in the NHL. And the Kings hope that maybe he can add a bit, but I don't see it either. And that was the only move they did. Not a lot really for them. All right, moving to the Vancouver Canucks. They are a loser because they did nothing. Zero. Nothing at all. Not even a small trade. They were, and they had guys to trade. Brock Besser, we all know the rumors around him, that he could have been traded. who's on the trade block. Apparently, Alvin did not see the right value. Teams were not offering him the right pieces. I find that hard to believe to me because Brock Nelson went for a haul and he's older. He's a centerman, so he has a bit more value there. But I find it hard to believe a team wouldn't be willing to give up a first-round pick.
If Anthony Beauvillier went for a second-round pick,
yeah.
So, Brock Besser, there was a first on the table.
What was he waiting for is my question. If the first-round pick, did he want more than a first-round pick? I don't know. And then Pius Suter was also a guy that was apparently close to being traded to the Dallas Stars. That, of course, didn't happen. And he's still with the Canucks, unrestricted free agent. And apparently contract talks have not gone well for an extension on him. So he's probably a free agent, losing him for nothing. Brock Besser, potentially same thing. Two guys that they could have got at least. I mean, for Pius Suter, the way these prices were, who knows? They could have got a first-round pick for him. He adds a lot of value. He's 16 goals this season. He doesn't penalty kill, power play. He's a Swiss Army knife. I think he would have added a lot to teams. I really think they could have traded him. Didn't. They're in a playoff race, yes, but I think they're not making the playoffs or they're getting kicked in the first rounds. They're going to have to play against Winnipeg Jets, most likely, if they're getting the second wild card spot, or the Dallas Stars, which is not much of a difference. Now they have Mikko Rantanen on that team. I don't see the Canucks really making it far, and they could have got some assets for these guys, and they might end up getting zero for them without extensions. And that's a loser to me because they could have done something at this deadline in the seller's market. I think they missed the boat to me. I mean, I hope the Canucks do make the playoffs and hopefully go on something, but the odds are that they won't, and they're going to lose these guys for nothing. And that's loser. I mean, and they could have even traded Elias Pettersson. I don't think that was really going to happen, but at least those two guys should have been dealt for something. Even Derek Forbort could have got you a third-round pick. They did trade Carson Soucy for a third-round pick. That was the only real move they made. It wasn't on the deadline. That was yesterday. So that was the only real move they've made since the JT Miller trade. And that one weakened the team, even though Heedles looked pretty good. But JT Miller's looked better in New York. So
much better.
It's in the end, it's a loser. Vancouver Canucks trade deadline this year.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. Like they already locked up Drew O'Connor. They've locked up Marcus Pettersson. Now they're going to lose half of their forwards in free agency. Yeah. The cap is going up, but when you build a team through free agency, we just saw what happened with the Bruins. It usually doesn't work out. Patrick Alvin and Jim Rutherford have dug these Canucks into a pretty rough spot right now.
Now, there are rumors that it's the ownership that is tying their hands a bit, and I wouldn't be surprised.
I've heard that before from Aquilini.
Because the Aquilinis have notoriously been a little bit too hands-on as owners, and I wouldn't be surprised if they told them, we want to make the playoffs this year. Don't weaken the team. That could be a part of it, but we'll never know.
Yep.
All right, let's move to winners. There's some positivity here. Who won the trade deadline? There's some obvious ones, really. I mean, we're looking at some of these teams that really upgraded. Who's a winner?
Every single seller. I mean, I'm just going to start with that. Everybody that decided to be a seller today, just unreal amount of draft picks and big trades happening.
Yeah.
But for a specific team, I could go Florida. I'm not going to go Florida. And you know what? I think this is going to be a really hot take. I'm going to go the Carolina Hurricanes. Most people probably have them in the loser bracket.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick them in the winners because they were dealt a real crappy hand with the Rantanen situation. They gave up a ton, and then they ended up turning Marty Necas, Jack Drury, a second and a fourth into Logan Stankoven, 2 firsts and 2 thirds. Masterclass work by Eric Tulsky. Obviously, would you rather Mikko Rantanen? Maybe. He wasn't playing very well in Carolina anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So even if you lock him up for the 8 years, hopefully he turns it around. But he didn't deserve 12 million based on his play. He didn't deserve it based on his play in Carolina. He's worth 12 million. Absolutely not denying that. Just not to Carolina. And whether he was going to accept or not, I think it's a good thing for Carolina that he didn't, because I think that this is a home run trade.
I don't think he really fit in Rod Brind'Amour's system. So I mean, really, would he been that good when you signing him for that ridiculous amount of years and money if he's not going to fit with the coach that you're probably going to have for the next whatever, right? So, I think they made the right decision. Although Rantanen didn't seem like he was going to sign. So I mean, getting and not hoping that maybe we'll change his mind and waiting and then losing him for nothing, which would have been really bad. And they get like you said, Logan Stankoven. I already said how much I like him. He's a blue chip guy. I mean, not a prospect anymore, but he is. I think he's going to end up being. It's not going to be as good as Rantanen, but he's going to be a solid top 6 forward. And I don't know what his ceiling is really, but we all know how they do well with undersized guys. I mean, Seth Jarvis, not as small as Stankoven, but he's thriving there. I think Stankoven, like I said, fits with Hurricane system a lot more than Rantanen for sure.
And it's a second line center. That's something Carolina's really struggled with. They've struggled with that, and that's why they got Jesperi Kotkaniemi. That hasn't worked out at all. They have a second line center now for the next 10 years, 15 years. So
I love, like, when I saw Stankoven in that trade, I'm like, that's a Hurricanes player. I really think he fits that team. So he just adds to the other guy. That's Seth Jarvis, one of my favorite players too. So I got 2 on the same team now. So I guess I got to become a Hurricanes fan, I guess.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I mean, the deadline was full of trades. I mean, the Maple Leafs. We'll ask this one last question. Who do you see kind of benefiting the most from? I mean, we said winners, but who kind of upgraded the most through the deadline here that put themselves in a better position going into the playoffs here?
I think you just put the ball on the tee for me. I'm going to take a swing and say the Colorado Avalanche. No team got better than they did. Like, from the beginning of the day to the end of the day, no team improved more than the Avalanche. Now, they gave up a ton to do it. I still don't understand the Charlie Coyle trade, giving up Middlestat, Will Zellers, and a draft pick, but it improved them right now. And same with the Brock Nelson deal. Giving up Cal Ritchie really hurts, and then a first round pick also really hurts. But they're better today, and that was their goal. And so they did that. I don't think I would classify them as a winner or a loser. I think they got better today, and it's going to cost them down the road, but that they're okay with that. So they improved immensely.
Yeah, I mean, the Avalanche have been looking for that, upgrade in the second line center spot for a while, and they might have gotten it now. Middlestat didn't work out. They thought he was going to be the answer, but we'll see how their latest moves. Trying to recreate the Nazem Kadri, I guess. We'll see. We'll see if this ends up being that now. For me, I mean, I hate to do it, but I think the Maple Leafs. I really like that Brandon Carlo trade. I mean, Lawton, I don't really like that one. I don't think he really adds much. He's not the same, like we said on our trade mock trades and stuff. I don't think he's the same Lawton that was a few years ago. And maybe if the Maple Leafs got him from that time, then yes, great. But he's not that anymore. I don't think they really upgraded there. But adding Carlo to that defense is a big deal. And I think that really positions them in the playoffs well. It'll be up to the forwards as always. It's to see how far they go, but I think their defense is good enough to do some damage, and we'll see if that ends up being the case. But like I said, I hate to do it, but I think the Maple Leafs really just making that one trade really helped quite a bit.
Again, I would put them in the similar spot as I just kind of said. Everything I just said about the Avalanche. I don't love those trades individually. That's a lot to give up for Lawton and Carlo. I think Carlo's a bit overrated. I don't think he's as good as everybody thinks. I think he's great, but people think that he is like Jacob Slavin right now, which he absolutely isn't.
No.
But giving up 2 first-round picks, Nikita Grabenkin and Fraser Minton, that is a ton.
True. I mean, Grabenkin's been a really underrated type prospect for the Maple Leafs too. And that was a big deal. I think giving up him, and especially, like I said, Lawton's not that. Not now. May have been
no more back check, forecheck, paycheck in Toronto.
Yeah, he's already added that, right? But we'll see how it all goes. But I like Carlo. I do agree he's not a Jacob Slavin, but he does really add. I mean, he's a legitimate top 4 defenseman, and he is really good and really good playoff guy too. So we'll see. We'll see how it plays out for the Maple Leafs. Make sure to check out everything at thehockeyriders.com. We've got trade pieces. We got the reaction videos on the YouTube channel. Make sure you're checking all those out. And then all of our reaction pieces on the website that all the teams are going to be putting out after these trades, analysis pieces and stuff like that. We got grades as well. So check out all that, and make sure you're checking out all our videos on the Hockey Writers YouTube channel as well, and our Substack, of course. We've got lots of stuff going on everywhere. So until our next video, which will probably be the draft, we're going to be doing draft videos. I mean, the draft is next. The NHL draft is right around, and that'll be our focus shifting to that. So make sure checking out all that, and our prospect profiles will be coming out pretty soon. So take a look for that as well. But until our next video, we will see you next time.